Welcome to the Rock is George podcast. I'm your host, George Dionne. Thanks for checking out the Rock is George podcast at anchor.fm/rockisgeorge. The Rock is George podcast is streaming on all major podcasting platforms. If you're a YouTube person, head over to rockisgeorge.com and click the link to YouTube to listen to our episodes from number 8 up until today. Today's episode is episode 29. And it features the British band Praying Mantis. Praying Mantis got their start in 1973 under a different name by brothers Chris Troy and Tino Troy. Praying Mantis was one of those bands I kind of skipped over in the 80s. They were known as a new wave of British heavy metal band. I kind of focused on the bigger bands that came out of that wave, like Def Leppard and Iron Maiden and Saxon. I didn't really even give Praying Mantis a chance. They released their debut album, Time Tells No Lies, in 1981. They broke up shortly thereafter and reunited in 1991. They've released several albums since 1991. And it was their latest album that was released in January of this year, Katharsis, that got me into the band. I don't know what made me not check them out in all these years. They've had tons of albums. They've had tons of prominent hard rock and heavy metal members over the years. Gary Barden from Michael Schenker Group sang for them. Dennis Stratton was in Iron Maiden, and he was in Praying Mantis for years. They also had Doogie White from Ingy Malmsteen and Rainbow as their singer at one time. Getting back to their latest album, Katharsis, I expected one thing and I got another. I expected new wave of British heavy metal, and I got melodic rock with heavy guitar riffs and great vocal melodies. Not at all what I expected. I expected a much harder sound, especially based on kind of their album covers, which kind of matched Iron Maiden and all the other heavy metal bands that were trying to jockey for shelf space back in the day. They sound more like the majority of artists that Frontiers usually promotes on their label. To me, Steve Mann's Lionheart is very comparable to the sound of Praying Mantis on Katharsis. And there's probably a good reason for that, because Dennis Stratton was formerly in Praying Mantis and he's currently in Lionheart. And Steve Mann did the mastering on Katharsis. So if you're like me and you haven't had a chance to check out Praying Mantis, I'd say start with their latest album, Katharsis, and work your way backwards. Some fantastic albums. I've been checking out the back catalog for the last 3 or 4 weeks. Fantastic musicianship and plenty of great songs. I had a great time talking to guitarist Tino Troy about their latest album, which I mispronounced in the beginning as Katharsis. I apologize to Praying Mantis. The album is Katharsis, and here's Tino Troy of Praying Mantis. If I knew absolutely nothing about Praying Mantis, how would you describe the band's music to me?
Not absolutely nothing. Okay. Melodic rock, basically. Hard, it can be hard, it can be soft, it can be like a box of chocolates, like with the hard centers and the soft centers. So we're very adaptable. Our last few albums have gone that way, actually, where it's actually, we've got a little bit of everything there in each album. So, that's the way the world is at the moment. There's no big concept albums anymore, with everything. So this is like I said, the best way of describing it is like an assorted box of chocolates.
Well,
hard drink your teeth ones, and then soft ones, soft centers as well.
I hate to admit it, but I wasn't really familiar with Praying Mantis before your current album, Katharsis, and now I'm digging deep into the back catalog. And you guys were kind of branded as new wave of British heavy metal originally.
Yeah, that's been quite a hard tag to lose. Although we respect that tag, and we still do very many shows that like Keep It True, for instance, that sort of lean on that sort of stuff. So we can pull that out of the bag as well. So yeah, we're very adaptable. Like I said, it was new wave British heavy metal, but we've sort of grown into different styles of music as well. So, and like to appeal to the masses, basically.
Absolutely. And I don't even think they had the term melodic rock or AOR back in those days.
No. Yeah, it's been more of more of a thing that sort of like being with companies like Frontiers, Frontiers Records, they've sort of more or less invented that thing with the melodic rock thing.
They do quite well with it. And you've just released your latest album, Catharsis, on Frontiers Music. It came out on January 28th. What
Yeah.
inspired the album's title? Because you don't have a song called Catharsis.
Right. Well, Katharsis is actually Rainer Kalwitz is the artist who did the picture, the illustration on the cover, and he did the an album of ours, Sanctuary, back in 2009 as well. So we had a little bit of a break from Rodney Matthews. He was very busy with a cartoon thing that he's been doing as well. So we gave Rainer another shot at it, and he had this stock piece of artwork, and it was actually called Katharsis. And we were looking for a title, and I said, well, why don't we call it Catharsis? It's you look it up, it's like a purgation of the soul through your emotions is the definition in the Oxford English Dictionary. So we thought, well, this is good. It lends itself to the whole sort of thing, being in coronavirus and not being able to do anything. We've got to clean ourselves up here, and it's also lends itself to the man's decimation of the planet as well, and trying to rectify things now after so many years.
You have to be happy with the reception of this album. It's getting great reviews across the world. I hate to ask the standard question, but would you say this was your best album?
I'd like to think it's our best album, yeah, to date. I mean, we seem to have this habit of getting better, every time we record an album. It's always very difficult to better an album, to be as good as what the first album, let alone the previous album, let alone sort of get better. But I think we've grown into it, and having a steady lineup for the last three albums as well has been a real bonus, an added bonus. So I think that shows in the actual strength of the writing. Plus, we've had lots of time to actually hone the songs in our favor, because of the whole pandemic thing. We've been locked away, and we've been taking things back to the drawing board again and again and again, and we've come out with some really good stuff.
I'd say that a lot of bands have definitely benefited in that respect of not being able to tour and whatnot, as far as the songwriting and taking their time on their latest album.
Yeah, that's the thing. Well, we haven't been able to work, we haven't been out there sort of touring or doing any concerts or anything like that. So I've knocked together a few of my old guitars. I've refurbished them as well. And, I've been keeping busy as well as all the writing that went on. But I mean, we had pretty much the songs. I mean, there were I reckon about a third to half of the album was actually written before the pandemic hit. And then it was a case of just like getting a few more tunes in there and also just polishing it all.
Let's talk a little bit about the singles you put forward to promote the album. Cry for Nations I assume this ties into sort of the cover art that you have going on, the concept behind that, and the whole Katharsis thing.
Yeah, no, it's yes, it's actually lends itself to the it's an updated, and back the best way to describe it's an updated version of Children of the Earth, which appeared on Time Tells No Lies, our very first album. And that's about environmental issues and the decimation of the planet. Where are the mountains? Where are the trees? Together with our ashes, they're blowing in the breeze. And that Chris, my brother, wrote that lyric in 1974. And it's crazy to think that we were just as bad as we are now back then, and it's taken us so long to actually realize the damage we've been doing to the planet. And it's time for a kick up the ass, basically. And Cry for the Nations is a modern day version of Children of the Earth.
Excellent. Closer to Heaven is the second song you have out, if you have a little story behind that one.
I don't personally, because that was written, the lyric for that. In fact, the whole song was written by Andy Burgess, our other guitarist, who has a habit of coming up with these great AOR ballads. And you can sort of read that one any way you want, sort of walking the streets on your own, and you feel closer to heaven when something's not sort of quite right, and in your relationship, and so it can make you. It's a make your own mind up about your own life song. That's sort of the best way of describing that.
Do you have a third single that you plan on releasing?
I thought there was nonomnis moriar that came out as the focus track of the album. I'm not sure if that came out or not, to tell the truth. But yeah, there'll be others. I think the Frontiers mention nonomnis moriar, which translates as Latin for "not all of me shall die." And my brother has a habit of writing songs about death and destruction. So, yeah, it's a great song as well. That's very catchy, very sort of twin guitar harmonies, and which is very much our forte. So, and that, and our main influences were sort of like bands were like Wishbone Ash, where they had the twin guitar thing, but they also had the vocals, and we actually modeled Praying Mantis very much on that theme.
You've released Katharsis in multiple formats, CD, digital, and vinyl seems to be making a comeback. You guys have a vinyl record. Are you a fan of that particular format?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I just love to see, I mean, I just miss those days where I used to open an album cover, especially the gatefold sleeve, and look at all the goodies you get inside, and it was big enough to read it all as well, all the credits on it. You struggle on a CD, and although you have a booklet, everything's so small, but it's great to have it on an album. And I really wanted the picture disc with this one. It's got that nice orange vinyl, that orange marble vinyl, but that whole figure, the catharsis, the artwork at the front, would have been great to have that as a picture disc. Can you imagine? I tried to get Frontiers to do it, but they wouldn't go the extra mile for that.
I don't think that's their bag with the picture disc, but I think that would be great. Actually, for a lot of albums, I think that would work.
I love vinyl, and you used to take care of vinyl as well. You used to, take it out the sleeve with your middle finger in the hole and take it out. Not putting any thumbprints on the grooves. It's great. Those CDs just get flicked around now, don't they? Used as frisbees.
I think today's vinyl is a little sturdier than it was when we were growing up.
Yeah, that's true.
You guys signed with Frontiers back in 2009 for the release of your Sanctuary album. How did that deal come about?
Well, pretty much after we ended our deal with the Japanese company, because we had the whole string of albums under Pony Canyon Records in Japan, but then they decided to drop all their international acts and just concentrate on their commercial side, basically on their homegrown acts. So yeah, we lost out there, but Frontiers, who were licensing the product from them for the rest of the world, were hot on our tails after that. So yeah, it seemed to be just like a flow, an easy transition from coming out of Pony Canyon and into the Frontiers fold.
Do you guys have any touring options for 2022, or is it just so murky because of COVID?
Well, it's been murky, but yeah, no, we've got a few dates coming up. We've got like a little Spanish tour going, Iberia, Spain, and Portugal. Not too many dates. We're going to go about 5 shows, but we've got the Sweden Rock also, which has been bumped on from 2020 and 2021. They've been postponed each time. So hopefully it's going to happen this year. And Bang Your Head Festival as well. We've got some dates in Poland and the Czech Republic and a few in Germany as well. So yeah, we're looking forward to playing those shows again. Let's just keep our fingers crossed nothing major happens with this horrible pandemic that's been around, this virus. It's actually got me, we went on a UK tour and 12 of the 12 of us got it, almost the whole entourage. There's only 14 of us and 12 of us got it, and it was quite mild though. I didn't have very mild symptoms because I had been double jabbed.
Yeah.
But now so I seem to have this long COVID. It's just like crazy. It's it's stuck around with me, and I get tired very easily, and it's just it's crazy stuff, and it's just But as soon as you're on stage, we did a gig like a couple of weeks ago, and Giants of Rock, and that was a great show. It was we didn't go on stage till 11:30 at night, but I remember being in the dressing room and I was just flaked out in the dressing room, going, I don't think I can do this show. It's amazing. As soon as you hear that stage, and the adrenaline kicks in, it's just like a different story. It's like a Jekyll and Hyde situation.
Absolutely, there's sort of an adrenaline rush there.
Best drug in the world, man.
Yeah, I got COVID over New Year's Eve. I'm actually still recovering. I'm still waiting for my lungs to get back to normal. I noticed that Steve Mann of Lionheart and MSG mastered Katharsis, and he's got ties with a former bass player of yours, Dennis Stratton, who's with you guys for years. Yeah. So I assume that there's friendship still between you guys and Lionheart and Steve Mann and everyone.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, we're thinking about doing some stuff together. In fact, we've been speaking about doing a tour together as well. And yeah, a few things in the offing. It's all just like in the planning stage at the moment, because it's hard to actually get the shows these days, because there's a few promoters are still running scared, whether you're going to put the bums on the seats again. It's getting public confidence back up there again, and that's what we need. But we're definitely keep in touch with the Lionheart guys. We're all good mates, all good friends, and
it's been about 42 years since you released your first album, Time Tells No Lies. It was on. It was. I'm a little older than that, but not much. What do you remember about making that album and kind of the things that unfolded after it was released?
The whole movement, the new wave of British heavy metal, when that came about, and we just happened to put three demos on a cassette tape to a guy called Neil Kay. He was running this heavy metal sound house in a suburb in London, just at the outskirts of London, and he'd put these songs on, and Iron Maidens were another one, and Samsons were others. The Angel Witch, they produced these tapes and gave them to him, and it was like you get a fan reaction, and we went down really well. So, and then the next thing, suddenly this whole movement started just escalating, and there was like all these charts in a magazine. There was a magazine called Sounds, and music newspaper called Sounds, and these charts from all over the country started appearing, and our songs were like making all these heavy metal charts, which was great. And of course, everyone got interested, and EMI wanted to release an album, Metal from Others, which we were on with Iron Maiden, Angel Witch, and all the other crews. And it just escalated, and I can't believe how much we did in those first couple of years. It was just amazing. We did Metal from Others tour with Iron Maiden, then we did a further tour with Iron Maiden. We supported Triumph, we supported Gamma as well. Then we branched out on our own tour. It's and recording that album was great. Working with Tim Freescreen, who just finished doing an album with Touch, Canadian band Touch, and we just love the way we were going with the vocal harmonies and everything. And that's where he excelled, is getting the best doing our vocals in the studio. It's all those vocal harmonies. And in those days, we had to do it organically. There was no cut and paste digital stuff then. It was all around one mic singing it, and if one of us got it wrong, it's yeah, bastard, yeah. Let's do this again. And, and it's just like, it's a long process, and every chorus had to be done individually. It was no bouncing in choruses or anything like that. But it was great. It was a great experience, and wouldn't change it for the world.
For your worldwide deal for that album, you were on Arista Records. They're kind of known for R&B over here in the States. Was that kind of a mismatch?
It was, so coming to think of it nowadays, it's what our management negotiated with this record company, and I don't know what possessed them to do it, and they also and Arista also got us to do a Kink song, All Day, All and All the Night, that cover that we did, and it was supposed to be like, because Van Halen had such a big hit with You Really Got Me, and they wanted to do a similar thing, but never saw the light of day. We never got any release in the States or anything, which was like crazy. And Yeah, bad decision, and bad management at that time. And we didn't last very long, much longer after that. We had to sack them, and then we lost the impetus. The whole momentum of the band fell off the rails, and didn't make it back really.
Well, you made it back in 1991, and you guys seem to be going
Yeah, that was
strong
our
since
second
then.
bite of the cherry in Japan. Yeah. And that just came about. I got a phone call from Paul Diano, who said, "How do you fancy going to Japan?" And I go, "Well, to play." And he said, "Yeah, man." And I said, "Yeah, great news." He said, "Well, Masahito wants to do this thing. It's like the great DJ out there, rock DJ Masahito. He wanted Paul wanted to get his band Battle Zone out there, but Massa had this thing of putting this hybrid super group together with Dennis Stratton, Paul Diano, and Praying Mantis together. So it went really well. We did half a Maiden set and half a Mantis set and a couple of Lionheart songs as well. So and it came out as a live album. And then then Pony Canyon decided to sign us. The Pony Canyon is a company in Japan who put out the Live at Last album, and they wanted to do a studio album. And then so Bilang, started a long relationship with these guys. And yeah, that was our second bite of the cherry, as you say. Yeah, and we made it, and we haven't stopped since then, really.
That's excellent. It's a good success story. You were the original singer. Were you the original singer for the band on the first album?
I was. My brother was, and Steve Carroll, God rest his soul, rest in peace. He was singing as well. So all three of us are singing. Like we thought we had it in the bag. But I remember Peter Mensch once came up to me at the Rainbow at a Praying Man backstage after a Praying Mantis gig, and he said, Peter Mensch manager used to manage Def Leppard and stuff like that, and AC/DC, all these guys. He said to me, came up to me, he says, "Tino, great band. You get yourselves a singer, and I'll sign you right away." And we didn't think we needed a singer. We were that green, We're just like, man, why didn't we get a singer? And then we thought, let's get a singer. But after that, just too late, just off the mark again, Just got to
You've had some prominent singers in the band, though. You had Gary Barden from MSG, and you had Doogie White, the journeyman, as we will call him, since he's been in a lot of bands. But
yeah. Well, it's quite a laugh actually, because we joke about it, because we say like our singers were like the exploding drummer in Spinal Tap, and he lost in one gig, And a lot of it was down to us, really. We weren't touring it with as much as we should have done. We did the odd show there and then, but we weren't really a working band. We just had this Japanese deal going, and we do an album every couple of years with them, and then we tour Japan, and nothing much else apart from the odd show here and there. So these guys just went off and did other work, and Praying Mantis became a bit of a stepping stone. But I mean, everyone's doing that these days anyway. All the singers are now, they're working with different bands, aren't they? I mean, Doogie, for instance, how many bands is he in?
Had you ever been offered a gig in another band, like when Praying Mantis was on hiatus or kind of in between as like a side project?
No, not with anyone major at all. I do a few pub things, so like get a few bands together with mates and stuff like that. But I've never been offered the gig, because I mean, I suppose because Praying Mantis has been busy, people haven't thought to ask, or maybe they just don't like my playing. I don't know.
You got a good thing going with the new album, Katharsis. It's out now. It's a fantastic album. Made a fan out of me.
Thanks, George. Thanks, and it's glad. I'm glad you checked out the back catalogue as well.
Do you guys have control over most of your back catalog at this point?
Not at the moment. We've got control over some, but not all. A lot of the Japanese stuff is tied up because they're still holding the rights, because of, in those days we'd get mega advances, it was and we thought, hey, we'll buy a whole bunch of digital recording gear when that first came out. And I remember sort of doing the first album on a 4 gigabyte drive. It's just like crazy. And yeah, we bought our own stuff and then pocketed the money then. So it was great, so we're getting these big sums of money, but just divvying it out between the band. And but now we're still paying back and recouping that. So, but we're still talking about getting the rights to all the hardware, basically all the solid stuff, albums and stuff like that, CDs and vinyl. But they want to retain the digital rights at the moment while they're still recouping the stuff. So yeah, it's big bucks there. So hopefully, I'd like to, because my intention is to put out a big box set, 50th anniversary next year. I mean, when we first formed the band, it was, granted it was called Junction at first, but it was actually formed in 1973. So 2023 is going to be 50 years since the band was born.
That's crazy. You're still going strong, man. You should be proud of this album.
Still loving it.
I can't say enough good things about it. And that's all the questions I have for you today, Tino. I appreciate you coming on the podcast.
Great. Thank you, George. It's been great speaking to you, and look forward to hopefully seeing you sometime in the States.
That would be nice. I won't hold my breath. I know how tough it is to go there.
I'm holding my breath. All right, dude. Great to talk to you, and we'll speak again soon. Yeah. Cheers.
Yeah. Once again, I want to thank Tino Troy of Praying Mantis for coming on the Rock is George podcast. Be sure to check out Praying Mantis's latest album, Katharsis, out on Frontiers Music. I want to thank Frontiers Music and Dustin Hardman Promotions for making the interview possible. Thank you for tuning in. You've been great. I've been George Dionne. I'll see you again soon.